Sturgis, doing a lot of cool things with Fox. We brought this custom one-off Indian Sport Chief that we built for Smith Wesson. That's to highlight some of the new products from Fox that are coming to market.
So what we launched yesterday here for our Harley-Davidson setup on bikes is our new Grip ST, which is our first fully adjustable fork cartridge kit. So preload, rebound, and compression. We're seeing that on the Harley-Davidson. What you guys have is the one-of-one set. So we've been working really closely on coming up with some products for Indian specifically. So you guys have a one-of-one set for that Grip ST, which is rebound, compression, and preload for an inverted fork. We're shooting to have something like that for the general public, for the consumer, for next year, for 2026. So right now, you're the only one in the world who's got that setup on there. We do a lot of partnerships like this where we like to see how people are going to be using that suspension. Behind us here is our Woodlawn Baggers Custom 2024 Road Glide CVO. It's featuring our Fox technology, which makes it ride just that much better.
So we've been highlighting the new Fox product. Do you want to get into how the clickers work?
Yeah, what we have here is a dual fork cartridge kit, so both sides of the leg are doing damping, and then you now have external preload adjustment, needing a tool for that, and then toolless compression and rebound adjustment. From here, we can come in and change our rebound from slow to fast based on how we want this thing to operate, as well as compression, which will then help with some stiffness of that shock. Rolling through downtown Sturgis, low and slow, cruising, I might take my compression all the way to 1 to make it as supple as possible, and then turn my rebound down as much as possible and make it really slow and supple. Get out of town, start to pick up some speed, want to go carve up towards Mount Rushmore, I'm going to give this thing a little bit more rebound and a little bit more compression, and now it's going to allow that fork to stay planted with that wheel on the ground and make it feel super sporty. We didn't have that ability to change that on the fork. We've always had that ability to change that on the rear, so this is super cool. Launched this technology yesterday, so you'll be able to see this for all of our Harley-Davidson offerings in a 49mm fork, but you guys have the only setup right now in an inverted setup on an Indian. Proof of concept, but I'm really hopeful that we'll see this next year or so.
So while we're testing this, consumers can get a Harley version.
Yep. This is a hand dyno that we set up with a lot of your parts to help people better understand how this is going to work. So like we were talking about, say I'm rolling through Sturgis downtown cruising, I put it on 1 and I put it on 1. And you go ahead and push down on that fork, you're going to see how that thing is coming back pretty fast, but it's also not hard to push down. I take that compression or that rebound and I take it down to 3, push down on it again, comes back pretty slow.
Yep.
And then the same thing here as I come in and now make it go all the way to 3 for my compression. Push down on it, it's stiffer.
Whoa. Instantly feel it.
Exactly. So within that, like I said, as we're cruising through the hills here in Black Hills, it's kind of a common misconception that you want soft suspension for performance. You actually want to have a little bit of a stiffer suspension. 2 to 3 is ideal for sporty riding to help keep that wheel planted. And then 1 is where we take it and it has the least amount of interference with that fluid. We're not stopping the fluid from flowing, we're helping control the flow rate. So we're gating where that fluid is going. As I start to add compression, I am now restricting some of that flow to give it a stiffer feedback. And you can see it's coming back pretty fast, and the same thing, as I'm going faster, I want that wheel to be coming back quicker.
Whoa.
So now that's a pretty fast rebound.
It comes right back.
Yep.
Now is this something that people can do on the fly?
100%. So they can change their rebound and their compression on the fly without tools, and then they can adjust their preload of that spring for a stiffer or a softer ride, and that's more of a set it and forget it type of situation. And then if you're on any sort of bagger, you can reach back and click that, and then you guys have a version of adjustable shocks on the back of your Indian as well that has that same type of adjustability, but a little bit more settings on compression. So I can change this from stiff to firm, or from stiff to soft, and we'll see that in the arrows, and then I can adjust my rebound down here, and then preload is I can spin that spring. Big reason why you want to upgrade rear suspension is, or just the suspension in general, is suspension will make or break the ride on any vehicle, whether it be your truck, your boat, your car. And so when you get from the factory is a shock absorber that's designed to just keep the wheel happy and the vehicle happy. So we've been building suspension for vehicles for over 50 years. This is going to make any vehicle ride just that much better. So aluminum bodied shock helps dissipate heat. Shocks are constantly moving. Movement equals friction. Friction equals heat. And heat also starts to break down shocks. So we have an internal floating piston inside this piggyback, which means that the nitrogen is always separated from the oil that's cycling through here. So you'll never get cavitation, you'll never get foaminess, you'll never get air pockets. And so you have a consistent ride no matter how long you go. Most stock shocks on any vehicle are steel. They're inexpensive, but they're also very prone to just getting heat soaked and getting hot. And once they get hot, they don't perform as well. So yeah.
Now I saw on that bike that we have remote resis.
Yeah, so this is something we're playing around with here. So again, like we talked about remote resis. Remote resis are ideal for anything with a bag, because you can't easily get in here and make that adjustment. And then what you're seeing here on all of these bikes that we're customizing and setting up on utilizes factory mounting points. No cutting, no welding, no crazy technical needs to make this stuff fit. We reuse your stock shock mounting hardware, and then we supply you with a new bracket and new mounting hardware for the bracket, off and ready to go.
It has the same QS3.
Same QS3, so right now we're fully soft, we're in the middle setting, and then we're firm. So again, now all of our suspension offerings come with the ability to do preload, do compression, to rebound. For the longest time, it was only on the rear shock. Now, starting this year, we're doing that for our Harley-Davidson non-inverted forks, and then in the future, you'll see that for inverted forks.
That's awesome.
And then we have a bunch of different options for both Indian and Harley-Davidson, soft tail, dynas, things of that nature. What we had with our non-adjustable cartridge kit is only one side was doing majority of that work. So you had the same exact spring rate on both sides of the fork, but you only had one fork cartridge kit, and that's really how a lot of the stock, motorcycles are running. You just have, a dummy on that side here. And so now with our dual fork cartridge kit, that's why we refer to it as dual, you have equal damping on both of those, equal spring rate, and then you have equal amounts of preload adjustment, but one side does rebound and one side does compression, but nonetheless, you now have that full adjustability in that Grip ST.
So we're excited to be working with Fox.
Yeah, dude.
We've got a lot of new things coming in the market.
Yeah, we're always stoked to be working with different companies. Like I said, we've been doing shocks for a long time, over 50 years in terms of all the vehicles, but we've only been dabbling in V-twin motorcycles for a couple of years. And so we want to partner with companies such as yourself, with Kraus, to help us learn what is expected and what people are wanting to do in the future. So like resi brackets you guys are coming out with, and fits and finishes. So this is a one-off setup of a bike that may not be available today, but we have full intention of exploring it fully to see if it's something that we can produce for everybody later on. So that's why we love doing this stuff with you guys. You guys have been doing it way longer than we have, but we know suspension. You guys know billet aluminum. So like let's not pretend like we're the smartest guys in the room. But yeah, that's where we're at.
But
so like
together,
I said, yeah, together, one, we make together. So yeah, it's awesome. So like I said, one-off inverted fork set for that Grip ST, but the technology is exactly what someone can go and get today for any one of their Harleys. And then we hope to expand onto Indian. It's growing. So anything that we can learn to where people are like, I want that for my bike, we're here to listen, and that's why we come to Sturgis. And so it's awesome to see this stuff on your guys' bike. We were stoked to build this last year to just show how cool it is. Yeah. And then, we offer things for what I say, anything that's in your garage. So snowmobile, boat, side-by-side, UTV, truck. We launched on-road Corvette and Challenger and Charger suspension a couple days ago. So again, a lot of stuff, and we're stoked to be working with you guys.
You guys are the shot guys. So
I would hope people think we're the shot guys. Every once in a while, someone comes up like, yeah, I love your helmets. We're like, that was the same Fox. It was a couple years ago. And then every once in a while, you get a person who go like, I love your news channel. I'm like, way off, way off. That's not us. That's not us.